What's up, everybody? My name is Erin, and welcome to the Mad Maker Studio, and welcome back for some more Astrologaster. It's a pretty slow-paced, easygoing sort of game, but again, sometimes you just need that. So let's hop back in and see if we can help more people. We're hopefully going to try for our medical license. And we're treating people with just astrology, nothing else, no hands-on, just all astrology all the time. Give me them stars, baby. Let's roll. The querent did wish to know whether she should comply with the law and attend Protestant church services, thereby betraying her Catholic faith. I did advise the querent to attend church, but to cross her fingers behind her back during the service. Methinks the querent is most pleased with me for the reading I gave today. Oidus post consultatio. Simon, no, she's a married woman. But she is giving me a lot of letters of recommendation, which I will not say no to. God mend me, what have I done? If only I knew of a Jesuit priest I might confess my sins to.
Shine, her eyes are bright. A damsel formed for man's delight. Oh, she is quite a lady. Oh, she is quite a lady.
Amelia Lanier.
Good day to you, sir. I am Amelia Bassano of Bishopsgate, here for my consultation.
Welcome, Mistress Bassano. Bassano, 'tis an Italian name, is it not?
Aye, it is, sir. Though I was born in London, my family are from Venice. They did come to London to gain employment as musicians at the royal court.
Ah, I know one of your countrymen, Riccardo Ferraro, another one of my querents. Mayhap you know him? He hails from Venice, too.
No, sir, I do not know him. Venice is a large city, and as such 'tis home to many thousands of men. And as I did mention, I was born in London.
Aye, of course. Mayhap we turn our thoughts to what brings you hither this day. Have you a question for me?
Aye, sir, I wish to know what afflicts me, for my belly does begin to swell, and lately I oft find myself chundering after meals.
Swollen abdomen and involuntary upward purging. Well, now, let us consult the stars to judge the cause of these troubles. What is ailing Mistress Amelia Bassano?
What is the cause of my swollen belly and my chunderings? The querent is suffering from liverworm. This represents an imbalance of phlegm in the body. Querent is with child. This suggests the illness will not last long. Okay. The querent is afflicted with a crick in the knees caused by the pressure of excessive weight gain. No.
I neglected to ask. Is there a Mr. Bassano?
Aye, my father still lives.
I mean to say, are you yet married, Mistress Bassano? I presume you are, for the stars indicate that you are with child. Wondrous news indeed.
Ah, I see.
Of course, it is natural for a young lady to be a trifle anxious when she's expecting her first child. And I see you are anxious, are you not?
Aye, Mr. Foreman, I own that I am.
Well, doubtless you are anxious owing to the unpredictable nature of your condition. For instance, sometimes the child might emerge from its mother's womb early, weeks or even months earlier than anticipated. This possibility is a medical fact, and one that should be explained to any husband you may... Do you see what I'm saying, Mistress Bassano?
Nay, not in the least, sir.
Ah, Some of my maiden querents, I assume you are still unmarried and therefore a maiden, when they find themselves inexplicably with child, they oft do not remain unmarried for long. I advise you to discuss this with your family without delay, Mistress Bassano. Doubtless they will be keen to make the arrangements for you.
I see. Yes, of course. I must lose no time in finding a husband. I thank you, Dr. Foreman. Good day.
My dogs are in here with me, and that was the bark you heard. I thought they could behave themselves. Apparently not. A summary. The querent did present with a swollen abdomen and involuntary upward purging. I did judge the querent as being with child. Methinks the querent was pleased with me for the reading I gave this day.
Mary Payne is frightened when she spies a looking glass, for 'tis a portal out through whence the gates of hell do blast. A deadly and foul wind that comes direct from Satan's paw. La, 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 la.
Alright. It's really hard to turn pages sometimes.
Blessed morrow to you, Dr. Foreman. I am Mary Payne of 4th Street in Lambeth. I'm come to seek your counsel about my neighbours.
Good morrow, Mistress Payne, and well met. What trouble do your neighbours give you? They play their lutes into the night, perchance? Mayhap a neighbour has cast a malignant spell upon your cabbages.
Why, sir, 'tis no trifling matter. Indeed, 'tis a matter of grave importance. Doubtless you do know we have a Catholic living on 4th Street, a woman by the name of Avis Allen.
Ah, yes. I did hear tell that Mistress Allen subscribes to the Romish faith. But 'tis no crime to be a Catholic, is it, madam? At least, not at present.
Aye, but harbouring a Jesuit priest is, Dr. Foreman. These evenings past, I have spied a man sneaking in and out of the Allens' house. 'Tis my reckoning the man is a priest who is going hither and thither all over Lambeth to perform the Catholic Mass and take confessions. Doubtless Mr. Allen is hiding him in one of those little cupboards.
You mean to say you think Mr. Allen has installed a priest hole in his house? A secret room hidden behind the wood panelling of a wall?
Indeed I do. I am certain that he has such a hole, and that a priest is going in and out of Mr. Allen's hole from dusk till dawn.
Verily? How troubling. But surely you are mistaken, madam, for under the cover of darkness, how can you be sure the man you did spy was not Mr. Allen himself?
Nay, 'twas not Mr. Allen. Mr. Allen is a fine, tall figure of a man, whereas the figure I did spy was very narrow and malformed in appearance. A scrawny little imp of a man he was.
I see.
Now, you must not think me intolerant, Dr. Foreman. If Mistress Allen must cling to her idolatrous backward beliefs, 'tis her own affair, and I have no wish to cause trouble for the Allens. And 'tis true that Mistress Allen does now attend church on Sundays and takes the English sacrament just as she ought to. But we residents of 4th Street are decent English folk. We will not abide an agent of Rome sneaking around our neighbourhood, muttering incantations in some devilish foreign tongue.
I think you mean Latin, madam.
But before I act upon my suspicions, I think it wise to know if there be any truth in them.
Then let us see what the stars can tell us. Who is this mysterious stranger, and why does he frequent the Allen's house late at night?
Oh, I think you know, Simon. Are my neighbors the Allens hiding a Jesuit priest? The man Mistress Payne saw harbors cruel intentions toward the Allens' household goods and possessions. Mistress Payne will die suddenly, mayhap before the end of this consultation, a narrow and malformed, a scrawny little imp of a man. Ah! This speaks of a relationship with an untrustworthy foreigner. As foreigners are untrustworthy by nature, this element may be of no particular significance. The sun in detriment in Aquarius, this suggests untrustworthiness, and Jupiter, this represents a foreigner. Mistress Allen's maternal instincts have been thwarted by her inability to bear a child, but she stubbornly persists in trying to reverse her infertility. Saturn in detriment and retrograde. This represents a stubborn attempt at a reversal. Neptune in retrograde. This suggests instincts that have been thwarted. The stars speak of an educated man who adorns himself in fine clothes. This represents education. Mercury and Venus represents finery. The man Mistress Payne saw is a public enemy who engages in idolatrous worship of the Virgin Mary. In other words, he is a Jesuit priest. We don't want to get Mrs. Allen arrested. And obviously, we know she's had an issue with infertility. So I think option B is our best bet. Sure. Let's go with that and see what happens.
Ah, 'twould seem the man you saw is a foreigner who's been secreted into the Allen house to aid Mistress Allen with their family difficulties.
Family difficulties? Come, Dr. Foreman. Pray speak plain.
Ah, well, as you doubtless know, the Allens have never been blessed with a living child. Mayhap 'tis the belief of Mistress Allen that the seed of a foreigner would prove more powerful than the, demonstrably less successful seed of Mr. Allen.
Then 'tis naught but adultery, fornication with a foreigner. Mistress Allen will pay dearly for such sinning. Her soul will be damned to an afterlife, beset by the exquisite tortures of hell's capricious demons.
Aye, well, according to scripture, that is technically true.
But to harbour a Jesuit priest is a far greater evil. We must be glad that Mistress Allen commits naught but the sin of adultery, conducted late at night, with a man who gives forth strong foreign seed. You have given me much to think on, Dr. Foreman. Blessed day.
I am glad to have been of service, Mistress Payne.
The querent did wish to know whether her neighbors, the Allens, are illegally hiding a Jesuit priest. I did tell the querent that the man she took for a priest is a foreigner who is helping Avis Allen conceive a child. Methinks the querent was pleased with me for the reading I gave this day. What a fine-looking youth Foreman's manservant is. Oh, would that I were my niece's age again. I need to see William. What does he look like? Because all these women are thirsty for him.
When the querent does rock a continental frock, when the querent does rock a continental frock, when his Italian features or facial hair, 'tis Ferraro.
My first repeat client.
God give you good day, signor. And how may I assist you?
'Tis I, Riccardo Ferraro, come once again to see the great dottore, Simon Foreman.
So I see. What brings you this day?
I bring myself to you, so you treat my illness. 'Tis very grave.
And, what might this illness be? Perchance we might start with your complaints.
First problem is the laughter that cannot be controlled.
Uncontrollable laughter, you say? I see. Anything else?
Next problem, the dancing that cannot be controlled.
Uncontrollable dancing. And yet, you do not appear to be dancing at present.
What can I say? 'Tis uncontrollable dancing. I cannot control when I dance.
Nay, 'tis a fair point.
Doubtless my disease, whatever it may be, is very rare and very difficult to diagnose. But of course, if it be beyond your medical understanding...
Let me assure you, signor, that whatever is said of us on the continent, the learning of we English doctors is unparalleled. There is no better medical care to be had than in London. Now, let us see whether the stars may tell us something of your unusual and troubling illness.
You dare challenge me, Signor Ferraro? Signor Ferraro has been bitten by a tarantula on one of his ankles. Tarantula venom causes the victim to laugh, sing, or dance uncontrollably while also provoking an acute loathing of music. Jupiter in retrograde. This suggests an imbalance of blood. Or Signor Ferraro is suffering from colic, a disease that occasions abdominal pain, belching, and bloating of the stomach. This suggests the illness is chronic. This represents an imbalance of the yellow bile color in the body. Okay, so he didn't give us any of this information, but he did come in belching. But is it a matter of what he tells us it is, or is he trying to hide from us? I think he's trying to trick us by telling us he has something, he's saying something differently, but his actions are giving different information. So, Signor Ferraro, I accept your challenge.
It sounds to me like you're experiencing pain in your stomach.
But how did you know this?
Indeed, methinks you are stricken with a bout of colic. Most doctors do advise upward purging, but I have found the dog cure more efficacious in cases of colic.
The dog cure?
Aye. First you must find a dog lying idle on the ground. On any street in London you will find such a creature. Then you must kick the dog away, lower your breeches, and then make water upon the spot where the dog did lie.
Excuse me?
Signor Foreman.
If we were not on English soil, of course, I would have said you were bitten by a tarantula. But there be no such spiders in England. Our weather is much too cold for them. Indeed, only an overqualified quack who draws his medical knowledge from books alone would think such a diagnosis appropriate in this case.
Indeed, most ludicrous.
And in truth, the laughing and dancing you are troubled with may doubtless be attributed to your hot-blooded Latin temperament.
Doubtless you speak it true, eh? 'Tis but a symptom of my hot Venetian blood. Riccardo Ferraro bids you good day.
Nice, we crushed it, guys. The querent did present with uncontrollable laughter and dancing. I did diagnose a bout of colic, having remarked the querent's abrupt exhalations of foul air. Methinks the querent was a little pleased with me for the reading I gave this day. Getting them letters of recommendation, gonna get my doctor's license one day. By what manner of dark magic did he learn of my stomach pain?
Why does this lady feel confined? Mayhap the world is too unkind. Nay, doctor, medicate her mind. Pray cure this comely lady. Pray cure this comely lady.
What's up, girl? Let's help you out.
Good day to you, madam.
Yes. Good day, Mr. Foreman. Pray tell, is your Venetian querent Riccardo Ferraro one of the patients you treat for troubles of the mind? Forsooth, his manner is right strange. I passed him at the door, and when I addressed him in the Italian tongue, he abruptly turned from me and ran away down the street.
Nay, Signor Ferraro has no grave troubles of the mind that I'm aware of. Mayhap he was merely dumbstruck by your beauty, madam.
Dr. Foreman, a man is rarely struck dumb by a woman's beauty. Indeed, 'tis quite the reverse. He is oft rendered all the more loquacious, plaguing her with ill-formed metaphors he believes are compliments, and with hasty declarations and invitations she has neither sought nor invited.
Ah, quite. But let us turn our minds to happier thoughts. I did lately hear of your marriage to your cousin, Mr. Alfonso Lania, for which I must congratulate you. And as I recall, you were with child when I last saw you.
Aye, I was, as you correctly judged.
And your child and husband are both well, I hope?
I would rather not discourse on the subject of my husband, Dr. Foreman.
As it pleases you, madam. What brings you this day?
Lately I have been feeling heavy and lethargic. I do also find it hard to fix my attention upon the book I am reading or upon words I am composing. And yet, although I oft feel right tired, I am having difficulty sleeping.
Ah, well, becoming a mother, beset with all the demands of a suckling babe, can force change upon the normal rhythms of life.
Nay, 'tis not that, for I have employed a wet nurse for the feeding and much of the care of my son. Methinks I must have some kind of disease.
I see. Let us consult the stars to see what afflicts you. What is ailing Mistress Amelia Lanier?
Let's find out. I feel heavy and lethargic, yet I cannot sleep. What ails me? The querent suffers from melancholy, being an excess of black bile. Saturn in detriment in Leo. This suggests a mild imbalance of black bile in the body. Neptune, this suggests the illness is curable. The querent suffers from phlegmatism. It is a temperament associated with an excess of phlegm characterized by stoicism and stubbornness. Mercury, this suggests a psychological factor. Venus domicile in Libra. This indicates the illness will get worse before it gets better. I don't think it's that one. The querent is troubled with an excessively choleric temperament, is associated with an excess of yellow bile. I wish I had a little chart that tells me what all these different colors of bile are supposed to mean. Sufferers exhibit an aggressive, opinionated nature. The Sun, this suggests the illness is chronic. When Mars, this represents an imbalance of the yellow bile color in the body. I do not think it is chronic. I think she's melancholy, postpartum depression. Let's roll.
Mistress Lanier, the stars indicate that your suffering is occasioned by melancholy, or, in other words, black bile.
I see. And what treatment can you give me for it?
Before we speak of treating your condition, madam, I think it wise we determine what has provoked it. You did express a desire not to speak of your husband, and I cannot help but think that such a reluctance reveals where the source of your troubles might lie, to wit, within your marriage. Would I be right in thinking this? I do not wish to cause you distress, madam, but as a doctor, I do feel I must press you in case it is relevant to your troubles.
My marriage is not a happy one, Dr. Foreman. Mr. Lanier and I do not agree on matters of money and strong drink.
I see. And what are your opinions on these subjects?
That he spends all our money on strong drink. He disagrees.
And your husband cannot be brought around to see your point of view, nor you his, I presume. Well, the marital discord provoked by strong differences of opinion can oft engender melancholy in a wife. Until the matter is resolved between you, you may take a syrup of roses and chicory. Drink of it each day, and it will serve to reinvigorate your vital spirits. I will also have my manservant William bleed you of some of that excess bile.
I thank ye, Dr. Foreman.
William, come hither and bleed Mistress Lanier.
Real talk, I'm glad I was born in the 20th century because I do not know how long I would survive. With all of my medical conditions, I do not know how I would make it back then. The querent did present with symptoms of heaviness, lethargy, and trouble sleep, and an unnatural pallor. I did advise the querent that she suffered from melancholy. I had her bled and prescribed a treatment of rose and chicory syrup. Methinks the querent is most pleased with me for the reading I gave today. I'm on a roll, you guys. Oh no. Mayhap bleeding my husband would cure him of his taste for strong drink, very vigorous bleeding. Sir, I thank you for your recent enquiry with regards to obtaining a license to practice medicine. I note from our records that you terminated your enrollment in our institution some years ago on the grounds of insufficient funds. Whilst we do not ordinarily issue medical licenses to men who have not first completed a medical degree, proof of equivalent professional experience in the form of letters of recommendation may be taken into consideration. A minimum of 8 such letters of recommendation is customarily required. I advise you to write us again once you have obtained the requisite number of letters. John Cowell, Vice-Chancellor, University of Cambridge.
What is their relation? We are no longer sure. Since 4 months now the patient, and Avis is the cure.
Oh, it's getting steamy.
Ah, my dear Avis, what a pleasure it is to see you. I have oft thought of our last...
I cannot tarry long. My husband will be expecting me home.
Of course. But, dear lady, is something the matter?
Of course. Do not all your querents come with a matter they wish an answer to?
Well, yes, but...
I wish to ask of the stars whether a man I am close with, a man who is not my husband, whether that man be also close with another woman.
A man you are... I see. Well, if I am to judge the stars for you, I must ask you to be more precise. In what sense do you mean close? The platonic bond of friendship?
Nay, close in the sense of being intimate.
I see. Then 'tis the familial tie of kinship, perchance.
Nay, I mean someone with whom I have shared physical relations.
Verily, madam, if I am to give you an accurate reading, you must state your question clearly.
Methinks you know full well what I ask. I bid you ask the stars whether my lover is, that is to say, be it true that he engages with another woman in acts of strumpy-humpy.
Madam, you astonish me. 'Tis unlike you to speak such indelicate words. Now, if I understand you correctly,
Read
you
the
have
room,
a lover,
Simon.
and you wish to know whether he has been sharing his tender favours with another woman.
Aye, but did I not verily say so?
And now that we have at last fathomed your question, let us read the stars to fathom an answer. Has Mistress Allen's lover been unfaithful to her?
Let's get real, Simon. I don't think you've been sleeping around. Mistress Allen's mind has been turned by jealousy and confusion. Saturn in detriment and retrograde. This suggests jealousy. Neptune in retrograde. This indicates a mind turned by confusion. Mistress Allen should be more optimistic about her romance with this man. Jupiter. This shows optimism. This consultation will provoke unexpected intimacies between me and Avis. Uranus, this represents a surprise. Pluto, this represents intimate relations. Mistress Allen's lover is seeing a woman who is willing and able to marry him. He wishes to continue his family line. Venus exalted in Pisces, this represents agreeableness. Mistress Allen no longer pleases her lover. The spark has been lost. The Sun, this represents a mature man, Avis's lover. Mercury in retrograde, this indicates creativity being reversed. And the Moon in detriment in Capricorn, this represents a woman who is unable to please Avis. Mistress Allen's lover wishes to father a child. Mars, this represents masculinity. I don't know. I just met Simon. I've not been him for very long. I don't know what his dreams and wishes and desires are past gaining a medical license from a college he couldn't afford to go to. But I mean, she's definitely like jealous and confused, and Now, he obviously seems to care about her to some extent. I don't know how much time has passed since their very first encounter, but I'm gonna go with option A and see if we put her mind at ease.
The stars are most clear, madam. Your lover has not been coupling with another woman.
He has not.
Forsooth, the stars say that your mind has been turned by jealousy and confusion. Now, if there is nothing further, madam...
Oh, how relieved I am to hear you say this. Oh, Simon, what a fool I have been not to trust you.
But you... this lover... 'twas me all along? You were not speaking of some other man?
I beseech you, pardon me, Simon. I had to know the truth from the stars, for I did hear tell of other women.
But how could you not see? No other woman is to me so dear and verily Is it not clear to you that I...
Do you verily, Simon?
Oh, my dear, sweet Avis.
I do not see this ending well for Simon. The querent did wish to know whether her lover is engaging in intimacies with another woman. I did advise the querent that her lover remained loyal to her. The querent revealed that I was the lover she was referring to. This caused confusion, though it was quickly resolved. Methinks the querent is most pleased with me for the reading I gave today. Hoitus post consultatio. Score! You have received 1 letter of recommendation. 7 more to go, baby. I'm gonna have that license in no time. Verily, it was wrong of me to doubt him so.
Civil Fortescue always has what's new. Far ahead of friends of friends. She oft gets her hands on goods from foreign lands. That Captain sends.
Right off the bat, I don't want to like this woman. I see she has a little pet monkey, and I highly doubt that she obtained it through ethical means. Same goes for her peacock feathers. There's just something about this woman that I just do not like.
Good morrow, madam. I humbly welcome you to my consulting chambers, and thank you for choosing my practice. Mistress...
Fortescue. Mistress Sybil Fortescue.
Well then, Mistress Fortescue, what may I assist you with this day?
I come upon a most troubling matter, sir. I know not whether it is a medical matter or something else.
I see. Pray describe your trouble to me, madam.
Well, I suppose it all began with a dinner I hosted at my house last even. Mayhap you have heard of my dinners, Dr. Foreman. They are much talked about. Though I fear last evening's dinner will be talked about for all the wrong reasons.
Talked about, you say?
Yes, indeed, invitations to my dinners are much sought after, for I host the most desirable of guests, lords, bishops, poets, explorers, painters, and the like. Why, last eve I hosted the famous Robert Lord Devereux, the playwright William Shakespeare, and the Bishop of London and his wife. As well as fascinating conversation, at my table I served the very latest and most original dishes. Last even, I served an exotic green vegetable called a portato. So crisp and refreshing. My dear husband sent them home to me from the New World. Doubtless you have heard of my husband, Captain Fortescue. He is a great friend of Sir Walter Raleigh.
I see. Your dinners do sound most excellent, Mistress Fortescue. But what occurred at last eve's dinner that has you so distressed?
Well, in truth, 'twas after dinner. We all felt a strong desire to take some air, and so we left the table to take a turn in some pleasure gardens nearby. But then, as we were walking along the path, right in the middle of the gardens, in full public view...
Pray do not distress yourself, madam. Prithee, take your time.
My guests and I were, all of a sudden, stricken with pain. We began chundering and voiding from our... But there was nowhere to turn, you see. There were no bushes close by to shield our modesty. 'Twas unspeakable.
A moment, madam, as I note this down. abdominal pain, and simultaneous upward and downward purging of a most sudden and violent nature. Now, let us see how these stars explain this most distressing and unsavoury event. What troubled Mistress Sybil Fortescue and her guests last eve?
Sounds like food poisoning. My guests and I was stricken last eve with abdominal pain, chundering and voiding from the fundament. What ailed us? Okay, Virgo, the ruler of the digestive system. The moon, this suggests that illness is temporary. Sybil Fortescue has taken a chilly cold. This suggests a severe imbalance of phlegm in the body. Okay, but it was not just her, it was everybody. Mistress Fortescue is troubled with wandering hands. The sun, this suggests this illness is chronic. Mercury domicile in Gemini, this suggests neurosis. I think it's the first one. Evil digestion. They couldn't handle their potatoes.
Madam, I think you said the New World vegetables you dined upon were green in colour, did you not? And you described them as crisp and refreshing, I think. I take it then that you served them to your guests green and raw?
Yes, indeed. Most of the potatoes my husband sent me were full, dull, and unhealthsome in appearance. Hence I served only the green ones. I had my cook cut them in such a way as to resemble roses. 'Tis the way I oft serve my apples.
Ah, then your trouble was a severe case of evil digestion. I have read that these vegetables can be noxious if they turn green.
Oh, my days! Do you mean I poisoned my guests?
In a manner of speaking, aye. But worry not, madam, for the suffering was but temporary. Indeed, it does sound as if the bodies of your guests were most comprehensively purged of the poison. However, in future, be sure to cook the potatoes until they are soft, and pray do not eat the ones that have turned green.
As God shall mend me! What a shameful affair this has been! I shall go home and, well, I shall write to my husband and ask that he includes cooking instructions with the next gift of food that he sends me. I thank ye and bid ye good day, Dr. Foreman.
I bid you good day, lady. The querent did present with symptoms of both upward and downward involuntary purging, abdominal pain, and fever. I did diagnose evil digestion provoked by the consumption of raw green potatoes. Methinks the querent is most pleased with me for the reading I gave today. What a fine-looking young man Dr. Foreman has for a manservant. Are we ever going to get to see William? Literally every single woman has been thirsty for him.
Here comes a literary mind, one such as we do rarely find. Just needs a man to be behind, for she's but a lady.
Okay, I think I'm going to leave this episode of Astrologaster here. It's developing into quite, an interesting little story. And I'm kind of rooting for Simon to get his medical license now, even though he totally is not qualified to have one. But we'll see how episode 3 turns out next time. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think of this game. It was certainly something I hadn't expected to be playing or would have, particularly bought on a first glance, but I took a risk and dude, this has been worth every penny. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.